If you're on the hunt for actionable insights on escaping the corporate grind, embracing entrepreneurship, and building financial freedom, then you've found your guide. Welcome to The Deep Dive with Drake, where the success stories of real entrepreneurs unfold. Join host Drake Abshire as he delves into creating a multifaceted entrepreneurial career, inspired by his impactful Southern heritage. The stage is set. Let's embark on this journey with Drake.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Deep Dive with Drake. And today I am super excited about a special guest that I have in the house, someone I respect very much in entrepreneurship, the business that he runs and the things that he has done in his career. So I'm excited for him to share his story with y'all, but it is Joshua Miller. He is the CEO and co-founder and founder of Epique Realty, and he wears many hats. He is a self-taught app developer. He has AY software that he is an enthusiast of. He's been a serial entrepreneur. And so I'm ready to really dive deep into his secrets behind his journey and really learn how he's leveraged technology to really shape the industry. So Josh, tell everybody who you are and give us a little introduction. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. When it was Deep Dive with Drake, I'm not saying I was disappointed, but I thought that I was going to be meeting Drake today. But that's cool. No, it's fine. I'm not disappointed.
Here's the thing. I tell people I'm the real Drake. His name is actually on. He is the fake Drake. I'm the real one.
Okay, got it. All right. So no fake Drake. I like it. So I'm like you said, I'm Josh Miller. So I am a part of Epique Realty, which is now a national brokerage. We have about 3,000 agents currently. We are in 35 states as of today, and growing. I think we'll be in all 50 states here in the next 8 months or so, and we will be an international company this time next year. And so we're looking at our national and international expansion. So yeah, things are going great. We just looked at some numbers today, and it was kind of cool. Last month compared to that same month last year, we're growing 10 times faster than we were last year, which is crazy. So I know that our entire company is complete. We've 6x'd in the last 5 months. So it's fast and it's growing and it's great. And we built something truly unique. So it's a lot of fun. But thanks for that intro. I'll try to live up to all of that. That was good.
I believe in you. So let's dive into a little bit of your history and talk about where did you come from? Give everybody a background of how you really got started on your journey.
Yeah. Where did I come from? Well, I'm originally from Florida, St. Petersburg, Florida. Lived there until I was in my teens. We moved to Texas. I lived in Boston for a while. Went to college there. Lived in Minneapolis for a while. And now we're, back in Texas. I feel like everybody from Texas ends up back in Texas at some point. And that's definitely true for us. But, my background is in, real estate and marketing. And I'm definitely a super nerd. So I'm into all things tech. And so I got into technology early when I was a kid. My dad was super into technology. My grandfather was into technology. Even my grandfather passed at 92. And even at 92, he was still very much into technology and looking at programming and things like that. So it's definitely in my family. When I was a kid, I'm going to show my age a little bit here. When I was a kid, we were the first family of anybody that I knew that had a computer at home, which was wild. This was the first Apple, home computer. We had one. My dad was also in marketing, and my mother. They're both, my dad still is, graphic designers. They own newspapers and magazines as a child. So I come from a publishing background. So I was designing ads when I was about 9 years old. So I was making ads for my parents' newspapers and magazines. So I come from a background of that. They both have education and experience in graphic design. So I got that really, really early. And then technology. My dad's in technology. He owns a hosting company now, and he still does a lot of graphic design and owns a newspaper as well too. And then my youngest brother Jesse works with us now at Epique. And he's a full stack developer. So he develops apps and programs and writes code and he works for us, and he's our full-time in-house developer now. So it's great. I come from a very techie marketing family. So that's my background. So it's great to be able to use those in my adult life and also to use it to the benefit of Epique for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. So it's a family affair, it seems like. So I'm guessing you all get along pretty well.
No, God, no. We fight all the time. But that's very normal. So I grew up. So it's myself. I have a twin sister, Janice, who's one of our co-founders, and two younger brothers. And so three of us are here and working together. And so it's a family-owned company, family-started company. The three co-founders are myself, my twin sister, Janice, and my husband, Chris. And so we started this from scratch, and we just had some kind of crazy ideas that were definitely disruptive ideas. Although to say them now, they seem very simple ideas, simple concepts that you think would have already happened, but we couldn't find it in our industry. So we had to build it. If you can't find something, you build it, right? So yes, that's kind of a little bit about me.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for sharing all that. So basically, we know you started Epique Realty, you ventured in app development and AI. So the self-taught part of it. So can you share how you were able to hone your skills with that? Because maybe there's some people, that don't want to go the college route, but they're like, how do I find my own way with the self-taught route of these types of things?
Self-taught so much better. I have to be honest. So my field of study in college was economics, right? So what was I going to do with that? So many few things you could do with that. You could work in a think tank. You could be a politician. You can teach economics, but there's very less. It's not a very practical field of study. So yeah, so self-taught is the way to go, especially when it comes to this kind of technology, because it's moving so fast. By the time you finish the course, it's completely changed. So YouTube, trial and error, hit Google. Now you have ChatGPT to help you. That's how you get self-taught. I remember the first app I ever built for a company. They had an in-house developer who had built their programs, but he didn't know how to make apps. And I just taught myself, and I wanted to build this for him. So we were on a big Zoom call together, and he said, I've never shared this story, but he's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have the app do all of these things like pie in the sky stuff. You're not really like an app developer. You don't really have that kind of experience, right? What did you go to school for again? And I said economics. Because yeah, he's like, so why don't we just kind of tailor it back a little bit and see what we can do, on desktop, and we can do web apps and all of this stuff. And I said, I think we can do all of these things. So within a week, he just really pissed me off. So in a week, I decided that I wanted to do it, and I created this app for this company that the owners couldn't believe it. He was just so ecstatic of all the things this app can do and how interactive it was. And it did all of these things that you just couldn't accomplish on a website. And so I was like, this is fun. So I started making games. For a while, I had some games on the App Store you could download. You can't download them now because I haven't updated them, but I had a bunch of games. That was fun. And so I just kind of got into it. Web development was the same thing. I like to say my initial introduction to web development was MySpace. So if anybody listening is old enough to remember MySpace, we all got really good at HTML, right? And then HTML evolved into PHP, and then PHP evolved into JavaScript, and now you have things like Laravel and all of these extra things, React, that you can build on now. But that was really my first intro to creating something. I feel like I'm a creative person. I can draw, I can write. And so I am secretly writing books on the side that nobody's allowed to read. And I do draw. Janice draws. Janice writes. My twin sister, she's a writer as well. My dad's a writer. My one brother who isn't working here, he's not working here because he's a full-time writer. And so he writes novels and screenplays. So we're a very creative kind of family. Even Jesse, who is here as our full stack developer, he makes music in his spare time. And so just like my dad does, my dad also writes music and is a musician on top of being a hosting developer and a graphic designer. So I feel like we come from a very unique family where everybody has multiple outlets for their creativity. And we're all entrepreneurs. It's a very different kind of family for sure.
Yeah. I love all this. This is amazing because that creativity side, I think, is such a huge part of creating businesses and coming up with ideas and having an innovative approach. And that shows with the fact that you have started this amazing company and how far it's gone. So what were your initial steps, would you say, that helped you establish and grow Epique so far?
The establishment part was really just coming from an idea. I definitely believe in the start with why approach. So if you're familiar, that's Simon Sinek
That book.
approach. Yeah, that book. Yeah. If you're familiar with that, I think it's really important. But even before his book, always knew that the foundation of your company has to be strong, much like your house, right? If you don't get the foundation right, the rest is going to crumble, right? So the foundation of your company has to be clear. And I've always been the person who questioned everything, even when I was a kid. So to my mother's dismay, I would always question everything that I was told. Like, is that the way we should be doing this? Is this really the best approach? I can remember being 8, 9 years old saying, I don't think that that's how that works. So we've always been, and we were kind of raised to be very independent. There were times in school where I would question the teacher's authority or question the lesson plan or question why they're doing it that way or the process or something. And I can remember getting in trouble and my parents had to come talk to the teacher and my mom and dad saying, well, why do you do it that way? Actually, he has kind of a valid point, and so they were like, that's great. They really raised me to be an independent thinker, to not go with the flow, to determine what works, what doesn't work, and to figure it all out. So we were looking at Epique. We were really looking at, so since we've always questioned these things, and since we were kind of taught and raised to question things, we questioned everything in the real estate industry, how the brokerage agent relationship worked, how agents work, how technology is currently working. And just looking at it from a totally outside perspective while being inside of it at the same time. So we wanted to create something. The most fundamental question we had was, why are agents left just to sink or swim, right? It just seems like it's a very sink or swim environment. Now, that's great. Sink or swim is great if you're a shark and you know how to swim, right? We have a lot of sharks in our industry, but it really just means that if you're just a regular person, and this is your second career and you were a teacher or, you're diving into this for the very first time, you're not going to be a shark on day one, right? And so what it means is that, and sharks can swim, they can eat, everything's great. But if you're new, you're going to starve to death, right? And there's various levels of support at these brokerages, and they've gotten farther and farther away from one-on-one support. It started off where you had, a local office and you had a broker and you go into the office, you can ask them questions, they give you advice, maybe have you shadow somebody. That's gone. It's replaced with videos you can find on YouTube, videos you can find on their portal, no one-on-one support, an overwhelmed coach, mentors only for brand new agents, only for a couple of deals, and you have to pay for them. Or they have some kind of like just structured training that doesn't apply to everyone. And in most cases, you have to pay for it too, even though you just spent all that money getting your license. So it just didn't make a lot of sense. And so the idea was, what if we created a brokerage that actually did something for the agents and didn't just throw them out in the deep end and say, good luck, kid, you're on your own. And that's what I feel like the entire industry has been. And it's like, okay, well, what if we did work for the agent? And what if we worked for them, right? Because there's two roles that a broker plays. You're responsible for your agents, right? You're the supervisor, you're responsible for every time they mess up, you're in trouble too, right? Like you're still responsible for them, but you're also responsible to them. And I feel like so many brokerages forget that second part. They know the legal part, they're responsible for them. That's what you take in your broker responsibilities course. But not that they're responsible to them. And so I think it's just a totally different approach. Once you get that right, it actually guides all of your thinking, all of your benefits. Everything that you do is guided by those principles, right? So once you get that foundation set in your mind that I work for you, that I'm here for you, that we're here to provide value, we're here to support your business, as opposed to you're here to support me and to buy me my next yacht, which is the way that I think a lot of brokerage owners look, they're like, I'm successful. You should want to be like me and you should want to work for me and buy me my next yacht. And we just never really thought like that. We came from a totally different place. So
awesome. So what would you say? I mean, I feel it because I am, maybe some of the listeners may not know that, but I am a part of Epique Realty. But we foster, I think, a great culture. But how do you think innovation and entrepreneurship has been, something that we're trying to foster within the company? Do you think that's happening?
I do. So one of the things that we're doing with like our support and supporting agents is we're not supporting them only with our model. We're actually supporting their model. So sometimes people ask me like, oh, what's your minimum that people need to do in order to be here? Do they need to show up to an office and do this? I'm like, no. We meet agents where they are. This is their business. We're here to support them. So I think we do a really good job of that with helping them with their paperwork and doing a lot of the work for them so that they have more free time to run their business how they want. But as far as innovation, we do some stuff no one's ever done before for innovation. So we have our own innovative ideas, right? We have a million ideas, right? There's no shortage of ideas. I actually have a book on my desk full of ideas that maybe some of them will never get to be implemented. But I probably have 10 years worth of ideas already written out. But I like to hear ideas from the agents. So I actually have one-on-one meetings with agents every single day. I have it blocked up on my calendar and it's just for them. It is not for vendors. It's not for people who wanted to join. It's not for anything. It is from our agents internally. And I remember somebody saying, well, when you have 500 agents, you're not going to have that kind of time. Or when you have 1,000 agents, you'll never have that kind of time. When we have 2,000 agents, we have 3,000 agents. And I will always have the time when we have 100,000 agents, because I've specifically blocked off parts of my schedule where only they could book there, no one else. And to me, the most important person at our brokerage are our agents, our area leaders. So those are the two most important groups to me. Our area leaders build our culture, and our agents are the reason we exist. So, and they're the ones actually selling the real estate that pays for everyone. So we need to make sure that we're taking care of these people. They're most important to me. So in these meetings, this is what's cool about the innovation part, is agents are giving us ideas that we can run with, that we can use, that we can bring them in. We're a very collaborative kind of organization. I think if you're building a company and you want to scale it, you're not going to do it alone. They say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring others or go with people. It is so true, because this is, we have agent advisory committee, executive advisory board, but in addition to that, we have people who are on committees to build training material for us. They're on committees to bring events to our company. We're not just hiring outside people to come in and do our events. We want to know from the agents, where do you want us to go? What do you want us to do? When we do training, like, what do you want to learn? And so we have agents coming in and bringing that knowledge directly of what the agents want, what they want to see. That's how we built this brokerage. What did we want to be? What brokerage did we want to be at? And that's what we built. And so we're continuing that collaboration. I think that if you want to be an innovative company and you want to be an innovative entrepreneur, you're going to need to know that you're not the smartest person in the room. And if you are, you're in the wrong room. That two heads are better than one. I know, I get the idea of too many cooks in the kitchen. That's why you need to pare it down and have, different people with different strengths in the room. But collaboration is going to be really important. And that doesn't mean you asking your spouse and them telling you what they think. I mean, that means getting in a room of people and having people tell you, you're wrong, you're dead wrong, and here's why. And you listening to them, going with it or not. You don't have to take all the advice. I'd recommend not taking a lot of advice from experts, but listening to people who are on the ground doing it. They know what it takes, and they'll be able to guide you. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, talking about, well, let's switch gears a little bit. So going back to maybe the technology and the AI, because we touched on that's really a specialty of yours. So how do you think you integrating that into the brokerage has really, changed or catapulted what we do here differently?
It's amazing, actually. It's just kind of staggering. So we released Epique AI was our first kind of thing. It's a series of just, chatbots and stuff. We released that actually publicly for anybody in the world to use. We get over 100,000 visitors every week coming to epique.ai. And it's people who are at brokerages all over the country, some all over the world sometimes. So it's not just for Epique agents. We have kind of a souped up version of that for our agents, and we have other AI tools as well. But it makes things a lot easier for agents. It's beyond just creating property descriptions, which I think most people think of an AI chatbot for real estate, what you could use it for. But you can use it to build your library of things that you're posting on your social media. You can use it to answer questions for you. We've built the world's first broker AI. That's where we fed an AI model all of the laws of the state, the cities that they're in, the association, all of that into one kind of model. And that allows it to be the smartest broker ever. Right? So your broker may be smart. They may have 40 years of experience, but they may not remember everything. Our AI does. It's 24 hours a day and it remembers everything. We have Coach AI. Coach AI is the smartest real estate coach ever. And it has learned from the best coaches in the world. It has learned from a lot of different sources. I think it's 10 million sources now that it's learned from. But it's going to be able to tell you, how do I get leads? How do I get clients? What's the best approach for an open house? I mean, you can ask this kind of question. So it's interesting. We see people using it all the time and getting great advice. In addition to that, we have other AI tools that are not kind of that are less like generative kind of conversations, which those are, by the way, evolving currently into being more audio and video, which is interesting. But I'm not going to announce it today, but we have cool stuff coming. But so those are evolving. But we have other AI tools like our virtual staging AI. It's the best in the world. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, you can literally just, I remember I as a test, I Googled dirty bedroom and put it through there. And it can just clean the room, or it can remodel it, or it can make it a big empty room. So you can visualize it that way. So that's cool. We have our Redo AI platform, which is like if our virtual AI and Matterport 3D had a baby. right? So you're going through and you're looking at 3D modeling, but you could tap the walls and change the paint color. You could tap the countertops in the kitchen and make them granite. You could tap the floor and put in new wood floors. So you'll be able to remodel a home 3D. A potential buyer will be able to remodel it. And then they can remodel it, say how much it would cost, and they can say, I want it, and it'll automatically give them contractors. It'll automatically roll and take the amount of money that they're willing to spend to remodel it. Before they close, it'll be done. And it will get the contractors in there and all of that stuff. And that money will be rolled into their loan, which is just so crazy. Because you know what happens now is we buy a house and then we go in and we're like, you know what? I'm going to buy the house, but when we move in, we're knocking down that wall. We're going to put up this. We're going to paint the walls. Imagine just doing all that beforehand and then moving in, it's already done. So that's that. We have other AI tools built into our CRM and things like that work leads for you, that send them properties automatically without you even intervening. They can even schedule showings and it'll just notify you based on your calendar availability. I mean, there's so much, and we have so much more coming. It really is kind of next level. And we're the first AI certified brokerage. I mean, we are really leading the forefront technology for real estate brokerages. We're not just out here, buying something from some company that's or we don't have just like one little chat bot or something people can use to find out about company policies. We literally are doing the most. So
that's awesome. So, with all this AI, all this technology, maybe, some people are going to argue, well, you're going to lose human touch. You're going to be out of touch, and, they're going to try to replace the agents with some of the things that they're doing. How would you combat that argument?
Oh man, that argument's been around forever for every industry. I'm old enough to remember when like legal forms, like LegalZoom and stuff like that came out. Like, this is going to replace the attorneys. Guess what? Attorneys still around. I remember hearing that QuickBooks was going to replace accountants. They even kind of pitched it that way. Replace your accountant with QuickBooks. You know what happens now? Accountants are using QuickBooks. I remember when it was very long time ago, and it's laughable to think now, but AOL came out with AOL Autos, where you could sell your car online, and everybody at the time had AOL. So like, this is going to replace car dealerships. They're going to go away. Then Carvana came out, and they're like, that's going to replace car dealerships. Are all the car dealerships closed in your town? Because they're not mine. They're everywhere. There's car dealerships everywhere. So the accountants didn't get replaced. The attorneys didn't get replaced. If you can't even buy a car without a person, which is much cheaper than a home, especially nowadays, you're not really going to be buying houses without people. You always could kind of buy it without an agent. That's always been the case. It's always been for sale by owner properties. Always. It's the beginning of time. There's been for sale by owner properties. So there's been people transacting without an agent, but smart people know that if you're going to make the biggest financial decision of your entire life, that you should probably speak to someone, like someone who knows about that, somebody that's their day job, right? You probably shouldn't take all of your money in the next 30 years of debt and just wing it. So people doing that, are very few and far between. And if we're being honest, they're not really thinking it through, right? If I told you to take all of your money and put yourself in debt for 30 years into a stock, you probably want to talk to somebody who knows about stocks before you did that, right?
Uh-huh.
You're not just going to do it based on something you found on a website. Like, that sounds good. Let me put all my money and 30 years of money into that. So I don't think they're going anywhere. It's still a very human business. I think agents aren't going to be replaced by AI. They're going to be replaced by agents using AI.
Yeah. So I want to dive in a bit more into just the lessons you've learned and the future outlook of things. So let's just talk about, your journey. You mentioned you were a serial entrepreneur to me. What are some key lessons you think that you've learned and that have helped to shape the leadership style and the business strategies that you're using with your company?
Yeah. So we own some brick and mortar companies, actually a couple of them called Epique, spelled the same way. So you learn a lot. It's a totally different, beast as far as how all of that works. But as far as my leadership style, I think understanding that you need to listen. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs who they got all the answers, and they don't listen to anyone, and they almost get combative when there's complaint. Right? I think I'm probably the only person I know that enjoys a complaint because I'm a problem solver, and so when I hear a complaint, I immediately want to fix it. It doesn't upset me. It's like, okay, I can fix this. I can fix it for anybody else who ever has this problem again. This is great. I think not letting the complaints get you down when you're building a new company. especially if you're bringing on employees, you're bringing on clients, you're going to have a lot of complaints. That's a part of what they call the growing pains, right? So if you're going to have a growth company, you need to be ready to hear the complaints, and that's complaints from your employees, complaints from your customers, and you need to just focus on solving the problems and addressing them. I remember hearing that when I was pretty young, if there's a problem, don't complain about it, solve it. That's the best way to get rid of your problems, is to solve them all, right? So if you don't want any problems, solve them. And so, yeah, so I'll say that definitely growing these companies is changed my mind about, instead of getting defensive when somebody complains, it is to be on their side. When a customer complains, if you have a brick and mortar location, instead of being across the counter from them, go around and join them. They say, I have this problem, and instead of making an excuse or coming back at them saying, well, this is policy, or well, this is the way it is, whatever, go on their side of the counter and be like, I agree with you, and it should be different, but I can't make it different. There's a software problem, and it just won't let me do that. I mean, I agree with you. I would do it if I could, but I can't. But you're taking kind of their side. And so I try to take the agent side, the customer side, and not my own, and try not to get defensive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. I like that. What do you think excites you the most about the future of real estate with technology and innovation?
AI. It's so much more than you think it is. Everybody here knows AI. They probably think it's ChatGPT, and it's absolutely not. There are new things called agents, has nothing to do with real estate. There are new things called agents that are going to take things to a whole new level. So right now, let's say you want to go on ChatGPT and you're like, how do I do this one thing? I was trying to think of an example, but let's use it in real estate. Let's say, how do I get my real estate license, right? So that's a pretty high level one, right? You could ask it even something more granular, like, how do I do this one specific thing, or pass this one test, or calculate a home loan, right? But then you're taking a step back and saying, how do I get my real estate license, right? But then you could take it even a further step back and like, what kind of job would be right for me, right? And then you could take a step back and be like, what would it look like to be an entrepreneur and have my own schedule? Here's what I enjoy. And maybe your motivation is just money. So maybe you're taking even further step back and saying, how do I become rich? Maybe that is your goal, right? Wealthy or rich. And you're assuming that agents are not rich, but like, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, how do I make money? And then, but maybe you're wanting to make money because you want to be happy. So you take it back and say, how do I be happy? And so they're getting to the point where you can actually give it the big question. And if you give it the big questions, it'll start breaking down everything, right? So it'll do it really fast, and where it will go all the way down to exactly what you're trying to accomplish, down to every little detail. So maybe it brings you down to be a real estate agent, right? And then it tells you to be a real estate agent, you're going to need a website, you're going to need some business cards, you're going to need to do this, that. And then it will start accomplishing those tasks that it can do for you. I've already created you a website. Here's 5 business card designs. Here's this. And then it's like, you have to do these other 3 things. Like, I mean, but you started off with a question, how can I be happy? And then it determines what's going to make you happy. And then maybe that somehow led you into real estate, that led you to becoming a real estate agent, that led you down the path. Next thing you know, it's helping you become a real estate agent for you. It's now, what you should do is you should post on your social media every single day. And I've already created 253 posts for you. Like it's really getting to the point where it's going to kind of automate your thought process for you all the way down. Yeah. And I know that sounds weird and sounds scary, but it's already kind of out there. So it's already kind of in its most basic form happening.
Yeah. And that's kind of what my next question was going to be about, what you see, over the next decade really starting to happen within our industry. But I guess you could touch on that a bit more.
Yeah. So AI is going to completely transform our industry in the most wonderful ways that you can imagine. And so it's going to help automate agents' jobs, and it's going to help supply more information. But it's not going to be making the human decisions that we have to make. And AI is not going to be able to tell a seller, you're never going to get that for your home. And it's never going to be able to tell a buyer, you don't want this place. It's a dump. We drove through the neighborhood. It was terrible. Like, you saw the people hanging out on the corner. You saw the parties next door. Those people have 3 dogs and no fence, and your dog's going to lose it. I mean, you're not going to be able to do any of that for you. So it's not going to be like, hey, I'm from this area. I know what's going on. That's just not really going to happen. It's going to be like, like you get now online. When you get online now and you look up a product, it's got all these amazing reviews. And then you get the product, you're like, wow, what a piece of crap. And your friend's like, I could have told you that. I did the same thing. So you're not really going to be able to just do it online. You're going to have to do it in person. And so So I think that it'll still be very much in person, but I think AI is going to make things a lot easier. I think instead of going to a website like realtor.com or your agent's website and typing in a home, you'll be able to go to a website and it kind of already knows what you want,
Yeah.
you know, and it'll just kind of show you. It won't be so manual. I think we think it's easy now just flipping through the pictures. It's not. It could be way easier. And I think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Love that. We want to dive a bit into you as a person and talk about, maybe some struggles or things that you came through on your journey. I would really love to kind of dig into you. So Josh, at the core, like, what do you say was some really tough battles or struggles for you along your journey?
Yeah, the most of the struggles, we kind of knew what we wanted and we've evolved Epic over time. So it's actually very excited about the way that it's grown. So I don't really have a lot of sorry, I have allergies. My nose is itching. The struggles that I had were at the very beginning. We're a new company. We've never done this before. And that's how it works with disruptive companies, right? You have someone who's never done that before. No one's ever done that before. So you're in completely uncharted territory. And so the struggles were, when you have a disruptive company, you have a lot of naysayers. Now, the problem is that you don't know they're naysayers. There are the people, of course, that are going to come out there and say, that's not going to happen. That'll never happen. This will never happen. That's great. That's fuel to your fire. Use that as your motivation. I know I do. And we still get it today. I remember somebody saying we wouldn't be around in 2 years. Well, we're halfway through our third year, so we'll be all right. But the people who you don't know are naysayers. They're the people who are just trying to help. And they come from this place of really kind of fake concern. And sometimes it's real concern. The problem is that you've never done it before. And these people, maybe they're more successful. Maybe they've started their own similar company or they've been in that industry longer than you. They're going to give you advice. And I will tell you this, had I taken any of that advice at all, we wouldn't be where we are now. Any of it. We got so much advice from various people like, well, I've been around 40 years. I opened this huge international company. I opened this, I opened that. All of your competitors have used me as consultants, whatever. And had we taken any of that advice, we wouldn't be where we are. I will say that the biggest challenge was to get all these people out of my head and to just trust my own instinct. And if there was some good advice, if I'd hear it and I felt like it was good, then I'd take it. But if it aligned with what I already thought and it was just more like confirming or giving me a new way to approach it, that was great. But I can't tell you how many people that I trusted and listened to who I would listen to them about anything because they seemed like the smartest person in the room and I should not have listened to. And so I think the struggle is knowing who you should listen to, making sure that you're always true to yourself and your original vision and not let anybody influence you. If you're trying to create a disruptive company, you really can't listen to a lot of experts. You have no one to talk to. So you kind of have to just talk to yourself and be like, does what they're saying align with what I think? And will it actually help me create what I want to create? And do they have a point? Maybe they do have a point, but maybe it's still not what you want to do. So I think I'd rather fail and do it the way I wanted to do it than to thrive. So I'll say this, because you can have a whole class on just failure, but you can't be afraid to fail at all. You just can't. It's just part of the territory. If you fail, you know you're doing something right. It means you're taking a chance. You can't be afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to fail. My fear of Epic having issues only relies on my agents, right? Because I'm not personally afraid of failure. And I think that if you build it right and you feel solid and you know you're on the right track and all the financial people, all that stuff, that's not advice. Those people are looking at hard data and they feel comfortable and you feel comfortable, then you shouldn't be afraid to just go out there and just do what you want to do. So just stick to your vision. Just make it. I'm a very much a make it work kind of person. Like we have this idea. There's a will, there's a way. Let's just make it happen. And if we can make the math and we can make the strategy work, we're going to go for it. So, yeah.
I love how you mentioned about when you're innovating or disrupting something that, it's somewhat lonely where you are, right? So how would you say you deal with that? Because I feel like that can be a challenge for anybody trying to step outside of the crowd and do something that nobody else is doing.
Oh, it's extremely lonely. You have to be a very independent person. So I had Janice and Chris, but they've never done it either. So you're really by yourself. Then I joined this group. It's a CEO peer-to-peer group. It's a bunch of people who started their own business, right? And so I'm in this group, got kicked out of it because I wasn't a good fit because everyone there had owned their businesses 25 years and they really didn't have the other things. So they put me in this other group, and this is for bigger company groups, right? National companies. But a lot of those people had never experienced this kind of growth either. And so they didn't really know what to do, or they had never IPO'd. And so they're like, maybe this isn't a good fit. And and talking to some of these people, they've been in the industries 35, 40 years. They have started new companies and exited them, or worked for some big companies, like big oil and gas companies, but they had never experienced anything like we're doing. We're in a unicorn status. When you are a unicorn, you have a hard time identifying with horses, because they're always looking at that big thing in your head, right? So it's just, it's hard to run with the horses when you're a unicorn. It just is. You're just different. And so you don't really relate to a lot of people. You're going to have a hard time finding people. You're going to find support from people. You're going to learn a lot about who your supporters really are, but you have to be independent. I lost friends from it, and I've gained friends from it. So, you don't realize the people who want you to succeed, but not more than them. And you'll learn that part if you create a successful, disruptive company. You'll also learn, who the real cheerleaders are, who's just trying to get something from you, that kind of stuff as you start growing. So it's just, it's a learning process. The person you should trust is yourself. Take a chance on yourself, get out there and do it. You have to be independent. I'm going to do this no matter what anybody thinks, kind of thing. And you just have to be determined to make it work. I'll tell you this, Epique. Here's another reason why I'm not worried about Epique, is I know it's going to work because I'm never going to stop until it gets, to where we want it to be. I don't care what happens. As long as we're all alive and real estate is allowed by law, this will work for us. We're going to make it work for us. There's a way to not lose, and it's to never give up. Because then you didn't lose. You're just in a different stage. You're in a rebuilding phase. You're in a restructuring phase. You're in a whatever it is phase. But it's going to be the company we want it to be, because we'll never stop, ever. And so if you just never I think a lot of agents, that 87% get out of it within 2 years. I think that they were just on the other side of just almost there. If you never give up, you'll eventually get there. You have to just keep doing it.
Oh, I love that. Great words. In the spirit of vulnerability that I ask people to be for a second. So anybody listening, can maybe relate to you a bit. What do you think you're most afraid of when it comes to, it can be, progression of yourself, your business? What do you think has been, somewhat of a challenge for yourself within?
I don't know. I'm open to being vulnerable. I just don't know that I'm really afraid of much. You know what? I think I am afraid of something. I'm afraid of that there's something I'm missing. That is a big fear of mine. So I don't know how relatable this is, but when you start a disruptive company, you think that your competition are these other companies in your industry. They're not. Your competition is someone who is not, you don't even know their name yet. So, because by the time you get in there and you start learning the rules, somebody else is going to, you start learning to play the game, somebody else is going to rewrite the rule book. So to me, it is that there's something I'm missing. So there's all those stories about how Steve Jobs tried to get a job at IBM. They turned him down. So he created Apple. That Mark Zuckerberg at this interview at Google, right? Didn't work out. Now he's Meta, right? So, and something similar happened to me at my last brokerage where I applied for marketing, a C-level marketing position, which I had direct experience in, and didn't even get an interview, and even had recommendations for somebody on the board of directors, still didn't get an interview. And I created Epique, so you have to start wondering if these people had hired those people, would those other competition, competitive or big companies ever even existed? And so I get worried sometimes that I'll do that there'll be somebody who comes across me and I don't have a big head, but I'll think, who are they? What's going to happen? I don't think that way, but I could just maybe just pass them up, just be like, I don't know. And just kind of pass it up and miss something. And then be kicking myself later, man, I should have totally brought them in house and built with them and helped them build. And now they would be competition. We would be working together on something really awesome. I worry about that. I do worry about a revolution in our industry that will happen, that I'll be, that Epique will become somewhat irrelevant in a way. And I don't want that, because we work so hard for Epique. So hard. We work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day kind of situation. We eat, breathe, sleep this company, and for it to become irrelevant quickly would be really sad. And so I'm always trying to stay on top of everything, and have, our moments where we shine and look to improve. But incremental improvement is not it. Our competition, you don't know their name, and that's what happens. So I think, we're in real estate brokerage, right? So, you think your competitions are the EXPs and the LPTs and the Keller Williams and the Coldwell Bankers and the Remax and stuff. They're not. They're the next brokerage, next model you haven't even heard of yet. No one's heard of them. They're going to come in here and change everything. And we have to be that next company too. We have to be all of those companies, right? So if you want to stay at the cutting edge and be the biggest disruptor in history, the next revolution has to come from you too. So we're going to have to continually revolutionize our own model, right? So we have to pull a rabbit out of the hat over and over and over again for the rest of time to never become irrelevant. And so that scares me. They say most visionary leaders and owners and people who have disrupted things, they only have one trick in their book. You got to think, how many tricks do I have up my sleeve? So they only have one home run. They only hit one home run.
Yeah.
But we're not in an industry anymore, or I'm sorry, we're not in a world anymore where incremental evolution of your company is enough. People want a completely new thing all the time. They want to see what the next greatest revolution is. And so if you aren't the next one, you're going to be quickly replaced with the next one. You have to continually be the next one.
Yeah. Well, no pressure there. Just stay the best.
No, I think about that kind of stuff. Like, I can't just add a new benefit and then that's it. And every year we add a couple more benefits and things get a little bit incrementally better for our agents. We have to come up with the next revolution.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's on me. So that if you want to know, that's what I think about, what keeps me up at night. It is, what's the next big thing? How can I be involved in it? How can I create it? What if I were competing against myself and sell this new brokerage and I want to do something totally different than they're doing? How would I do that? And so you have to think about what someone new would see about your company and think, man, that's messed up, and try to fix it.
This is powerful stuff. I love it, man. To wrap it up, let's ask for some words of wisdom or maybe some advice for people who are listening. Maybe they're inspired by your story. They want to be an entrepreneur. They want to innovate. What's your biggest piece of advice that they could take home with them?
You don't need money. You don't need investors, all of that stuff. This company was built without investors. We bootstrapped it. I didn't get paid for 2 years. And I just maxed out a bunch of credit cards and lived off savings for a while, but you don't need money. What you need is a great idea and a good plan. If you get with an accountant and you can figure out a good plan and how to bootstrap it yourself, that's it. You don't need advice from a million different people in order to start it. And you don't need to prepare forever. Get past the preparation. It will hold you back. Jump in with your great idea and just go for it. And if people are to tell you it's a stupid idea, forget them. Just keep going. If it is a stupid idea, come to that conclusion yourself. This is a terrible idea and pivot. But you can't be afraid to start. You can't be afraid to go in unprepared. You can't be afraid to do all of that stuff. Get the money right. Get that part right. Get your vision clear. Exactly what you think it should be from a fundamental point of view, at least. And then just go for it. And just don't let anybody stop you, anybody hold you back, anybody derail you, deter you. And just say, if somebody gives you some advice, say, thank you so much. I'll think about that. And then move on. So I would say, but you can't be scared. If you're scared, entrepreneurship isn't right for you.
Yeah.
So you got to just jump in.
Awesome. This is a kind of fun question I like to throw in at the end, just to see. So what are you watching? What are you listening to? And what are you reading currently?
Okay. We're watching House of Dragons and Bridgerton. That's mainly Chris. So we're watching House of Dragons and Bridgerton. Let's see. Listening to, I mainly listen to TED Talk podcasts. That's my kind of go-to, because there's just so much there and so much is so easily digestible and things like that. And what I'm reading now, and I just finished reading, is Excellence Wins. And it has a longer title, Excellence Wins, but it's by Horst Schultz. He is the founder of the Ritz-Carlton. Oh. And he talks about, creating a brand in the age of compromise, creating, actually focusing on excellence and not compromising for the dollar, not compromising for any reason whatsoever. And it's about to not be afraid to build the best thing. That's scary because it can be expensive. Maybe nobody wants to buy the best thing, right? But what would it look like if you created the absolute best thing ever? And so if you're into that and you think like, I want to create the best luxury item, the best whatever, you'll love it. And so that's the book I'm reading right now, which is awesome.
Love it. Cool. So if our listeners want to connect with you or get to know you better, are you on any social medias, any websites they should check out?
Yeah, I'm Epic Josh on a lot of stuff. EPIQUE Josh, Instagram, Facebook, other stuff, TikTok, I guess. But I don't post there, so you can just come there and see what I've hearted, I guess. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome. And of course, the website, if you guys are curious about Epique Realty, is joinepic.com. Or you're welcome to reach out to me as well. I am an area leader also with Epique Realty, so I'd be happy to answer your questions. And you can, of course, partner with us. But thank you so much, Josh, for your story. It was so inspiring. You gave us so much to really digest on, and it's remarkable what you've done so far with the company. And I'm super excited to be a part of it, continue to see us grow and you grow. But thank you again for coming, and we had a great time.
Thanks for having me, Jake. It's great. Thanks.
All right. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Remember, if you have an opportunity to leave us a review, we would love to hear your feedback anywhere where you find our podcast. We would love to hear how you've enjoyed this episode. And of course, you can connect with us on the deepdivewithdrake.com. But thank you so much for listening, and y'all have a good one.
Thank you for diving into the world of entrepreneurial grit, personal growth, and financial mastery. Drake is here to arm you with the necessary toolkit to cultivate, nurture, and realize your groundbreaking ideas. Keep journeying with us by tuning in to subsequent episodes at deepdivewithdrake.com. The path to a flourishing entrepreneurial life is within reach if you commandeer your professional voyage and steadfastly chase your ambitions. See you on the next highly engaging episode. Until next time.